A relentless and powerful storm system has battered the Midwest, unleashing a barrage of severe weather that has left communities reeling. Over the past several days, residents across the heartland have watched as ominous clouds gathered overhead, signaling the arrival of a dangerous and unpredictable force of nature. Millions of people in states like Iowa, Illinois, and Michigan have found themselves at risk, as the storm's path cut a wide swath across the region. Emergency alerts have become a constant presence, with local news stations and mobile phones buzzing with warnings and updates. In many towns, residents rushed to prepare sandbags and secure their homes, hoping to minimize the damage. The storm brought with it destructive winds that toppled trees and power lines, hailstones the size of golf balls that shattered windows and damaged vehicles, and relentless torrential rain that quickly overwhelmed drainage systems, flooding city streets and rural roads alike. Many neighborhoods found themselves cut off, with water levels rising alarmingly fast. The National Weather Service issued urgent warnings, urging everyone to take shelter and stay informed. Meteorologists tracked the storm's unpredictable movements, while local officials coordinated emergency responses and kept the public updated on the latest developments. In rural Iowa, at least one tornado touched down, carving a path of destruction through farmland and underscoring the storm's immense power. Residents scrambled for safety as sirens blared, seeking shelter in basements and storm cellars. Emergency crews worked around the clock, clearing blocked roads, rescuing people trapped in flooded vehicles, and delivering supplies to those stranded by rising waters. Their tireless efforts have been vital in preventing further tragedy and helping communities begin the long process of recovery. Officials have repeatedly urged everyone to stay indoors, monitor official updates, and avoid unnecessary travel. Families huddled together, anxiously watching weather reports and preparing for possible power outages. Authorities have stressed the importance of being ready to act quickly, whether that means moving to a storm shelter, packing an emergency kit, or checking on neighbors who may need assistance. The scale and intensity of these storms serve as a stark reminder of nature's unpredictability and the critical need for preparedness. In the aftermath, communities are left to pick up the pieces, assess the damage, and support one another through the recovery process. As the storm system continues its march eastward, vigilance remains absolutely critical. Authorities warn that the danger is not yet over and urge everyone in the path of the storm to remain alert and ready to respond until the threat has fully passed. The storms left a trail of destruction, uprooted trees, damaged homes, and widespread power outages across the Midwest. Utility crews are racing to restore electricity, but many may be without power for days, compounding the hardship for families. Flash flooding has turned roads into rivers, stranding vehicles and forcing emergency rescues. Temporary shelters have opened for those displaced, while communities rally to support each other. The loss of power brings secondary risks: spoiled food, lack of medical equipment, and dangerous heat for vulnerable groups. The resilience and teamwork of these communities are being tested as recovery begins. Severe weather has crippled transportation, with flash floods closing roads and highways, and airports facing mass delays and cancellations. Emergency services have rescued stranded motorists and responded to countless calls for help. For evacuees, finding safe passage to shelters has been a major challenge. Amid the chaos, neighbors are checking on each other and sharing resources, while local organizations provide food and shelter. First responders and utility workers are working around the clock to clear debris and restore power. The coordinated response of agencies and volunteers is vital for recovery. Community strength is shining through in the face of adversity. As the Midwest begins to recover from its recent deluge, attention now shifts to the South, where a new and growing threat looms: renewed flooding in states already struggling with saturated ground and swollen rivers. Texas and Arkansas, in particular, are facing mounting concerns as water levels continue to rise, and communities brace for what could be another round of devastating floods. The scars from previous storms are still fresh, and the prospect of more flooding is causing widespread anxiety among residents and officials alike. With meteorologists predicting several more days of heavy rain, the risk of rivers overflowing their banks is increasing by the hour. Vulnerable neighborhoods, many of which have only just begun to recover from earlier floods, are now at heightened risk. Local authorities are working around the clock to reinforce levees and distribute sandbags, hoping to hold back the rising tide. For many families, the sight of water creeping closer to their homes is a stark reminder of how quickly conditions can change. In response, officials are urging everyone living in flood-prone areas to take immediate action. They recommend preparing detailed evacuation plans, gathering essential emergency supplies, and staying informed through local news and weather alerts. Community centers are opening their doors as temporary shelters, and volunteers are stepping up to help neighbors who may need extra assistance. The message is clear: preparation can save lives. The ground in many areas is already so saturated that even moderate rainfall can trigger rapid runoff, overwhelming drainage systems, and causing dangerous flash flooding. Roads that were passable just hours before can quickly become impassable, stranding motorists and cutting off access to critical services. Emergency crews are urging drivers to avoid flooded roads and to heed all warnings. Authorities continue to stress the importance of readiness over panic. Millions of people across the South are keeping a close eye on the skies, listening for updates, and making sure their families are safe. For many, this means staying indoors, keeping emergency kits close at hand, and checking in on neighbors, especially the elderly or those with limited mobility. The memories of recent floods are still vivid for many, adding to the sense of unease. Yet, communities are coming together, sharing information, and supporting one another. Local leaders emphasize that while anxiety is understandable, being proactive and prepared is the best way to protect lives and property. Emergency managers are laser-focused on clear communication, ensuring that everyone knows what to do if the situation worsens. Rescue teams are on standby, boats and high-water vehicles are ready, and first responders are preparing for rapid deployment should evacuations become necessary. The coming days will be critical as the threat of renewed flooding unfolds. Meteorologists and emergency officials urge everyone to stay alert, follow official guidance, and prioritize safety above all else. The region's resilience will be tested once again, but with preparation and community spirit, the South hopes to weather the storm. Flooding is a powerful force of nature, and understanding the science behind it is crucial for staying safe. In the South, the ground often becomes saturated after days of heavy rain. When the soil is already soaked, it simply can't absorb any more water. So, when new storms roll in, the rain has nowhere to go. Instead of soaking into the earth, it runs off immediately, flowing over the surface and quickly filling streams, rivers, and low-lying areas. This rapid runoff is what leads to flash floods, dangerous surges of water that can develop in a matter of minutes, catching people off guard. But there's another factor that makes flooding even more dangerous: burn scars left behind by wildfires. These scorched areas lose their ability to absorb water, turning hillsides into hard, almost waterproof surfaces. When rain falls on these burn scars, it rushes downhill even faster, carrying mud and debris with it. This can trigger sudden mudslides and debris flows, which are just as hazardous as the floodwaters themselves, threatening homes, roads, and anyone in their path. Meteorologists are constantly monitoring these conditions, and they warn that flash flooding can strike with little or no warning. Calm city streets can transform into raging rivers in just a few minutes. Cars, homes, and businesses can be overwhelmed before anyone has time to react. That's why it's so important to pay attention to weather alerts and take them seriously. One of the most important safety rules to remember is this: never attempt to drive through a flooded road. Even if the water looks shallow, it can be much deeper than it appears, and the current can be strong enough to sweep away vehicles of any size. Many flood-related deaths happen when people underestimate the danger and try to cross flooded areas. It's always safer to turn around and find another route. Emergency services are on high alert during flood events, preparing rescue boats and coordinating response teams. Firefighters, police, and other first responders work tirelessly to keep communities safe, but they urge everyone to avoid unnecessary risks. Their resources are stretched thin during disasters, and every avoidable emergency puts more lives in danger. Weather agencies are issuing targeted warnings as storms approach, using advanced technology to predict which areas are most at risk. In some places, forecasts call for up to 8 inches of rain in a short period, a staggering amount that can overwhelm drainage systems and natural waterways. These warnings are designed to give people time to prepare and protect themselves. Residents should have multiple ways to receive emergency alerts, such as weather apps, radios, and text notifications. It's also wise to pack an emergency go bag with essentials like water, food, medications, and important documents, so you can leave quickly if needed. Being prepared can make all the difference in a crisis. Staying informed, having a plan, and making smart choices are the best ways to protect yourself and your loved ones. Floods can be unpredictable and fast-moving, but with the right knowledge and preparation, you can stay safe and help others do the same. While storms rage elsewhere, a brutal heat wave grips the West, with temperatures soaring far above normal. 14 million people are under heat alerts, facing record-breaking highs and dangerous conditions. Heat-related illnesses are a major risk, especially for the elderly and those without air conditioning. Officials urge everyone to stay indoors, hydrate, and avoid strenuous activity during peak heat. Cooling centers are opening for those in need, and communities are encouraged to check on vulnerable neighbors. This contrast, floods in one region, heat in another, shows the nation's complex weather challenges. Preparedness and public health measures are essential as the heat wave continues. Wildfire smoke, much of it from Canada, is blanketing parts of the U.S., triggering air quality alerts from the Midwest to Colorado. The fine particles in smoke pose serious health risks, especially for those with respiratory issues, children, and the elderly. The ongoing White Sage fire in Arizona is worsening air quality in the Southwest. Health officials advise limiting outdoor activity, keeping windows closed, and using air purifiers if possible. Wearing N95 masks outdoors can help filter dangerous particles. Multiple hazards, storms, heat, and smoke are converging, requiring coordinated public health responses. Staying informed and following health guidance is crucial for safety. The severe weather threat isn't over, with storms now targeting the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Forecasters warn that damaging winds, hail, and flash flooding remain possible as the system moves east. Millions must stay alert and have reliable ways to receive weather warnings. NOAA radios and smartphone alerts are essential. Every household should have a practiced safety plan and an emergency kit ready. Authorities stress, follow official guidance, avoid flooded roads, and take heat and air quality warnings seriously. Listening to local officials protects lives and eases the burden on emergency services. The situation remains dynamic. Caution and preparedness are key. Extreme weather is the new normal, making a family emergency plan essential. Discuss local threats, identify safe spots in your home, and set meeting places in case of separation. Prepare a go bag with water, food, medications, and key supplies for at least 72 hours. Designate an out-of-state contact and keep a paper copy of important numbers. Practice your plan regularly so everyone knows what to do. Stay informed with a NOAA weather radio and trusted weather apps. Proactive planning and quick action can make all the difference when disaster strikes.